Okay, everyone, welcome. This is part two of building the developer tools thing, like dev toys. If no one has seen it, I'll show it again quickly today. Let me search dev toys up, and as you can see, it has a bunch of tools for developers, and I'm building that in Go. Yesterday, the audio was horrible. Today, I've tested it 5 times and was happy with it in the end. So hopefully, it doesn't break again. So with that, let's get started. So today, I want to build the codec for encoding and decoding stuff. The main thing I have in plan is to build URL formatter, so it encodes any string that you give into a URL format, and another one will be a text file encoder, and so it will encode any text file into base64. So those are the two main plans for today. So with that we can get going. So if I within the CMD, first thing I want to create is, because we have the JSON utils, so that's one of our plugin. I'll call it codec, right? I'll call it codec.go. Maybe I should have added it from the using Cobra CLI, but I want to type it out today. Why not, right? So let's type it out. So it'll be the CMD package. Did I type that right? Package. Yeah. What is that? And then we will create the function. I have a feeling I didn't type that right. Unless unless it's not working as it should be. Okay, well, I'll assume it's working right, but I don't know why the syntax highlighting isn't working. Function init. Okay, I'm definitely not happy with that. That is such a bad start as well. Give me a second to figure out why the syntax highlighting is gone out the window. Okay, so let's start typing again. All I had to do was open another file and then it was all good, right? We open the CMD package, we'll initialize our function for this specific, I don't know, um, thing called codec. Before that, we need to create the actual CMD the command that we need. So we'll say variable, we'll say codec command. I think that's how Cobra CLI does it as well. Pass in user pointer for this, pointer value even, I don't know. Cobra's command, and then you have the use. So that will be whenever we call codec, we want to run this specific init function, and then the show description for it. We will say encoding and decoding of string and files. Do we need a long? I don't think so. I can't make up long descriptions on the fly. What is it? The run will be a function, and then function will take a pointer of Cobra, and the command and the arguments will just be a bunch of strings. Right? Okay, that's it. So we also need to know. So first thing I said was we want to encode a URL, right? So if I say codec and encode URL, I want to encode a URL. So if we remember from yesterday, we need to initialize variables for any of the flags that we choose to use. So I'll say encode URL, and that will just be a boolean. So if we give that and another string, that will initialize our thing. So if we say if encode URL, so if we have this value, a boolean value, then we simply want to um, run that function. We haven't created a function yet, but I'm going to create that inside an encode package. So it'll maybe I should call it a codec, right? Instead of encode. So let's call it codec dot encode URL, and give it arguments, and that should hopefully um, do its job. And in here, I want to add our command to the root command. So we'll say add command. That will just take our codec command, right? Yeah, seems right. And then we need to set the flag. So basically what we say is the codec command. Oh, so the codec command has the flags. And in here, this is a Boolean. So we'll say Boolean variable. Have I done it right? Because I'm not getting any suggestions. But anyway, let's say and encode URL. So that is where it points to where the value of the flag that we passed will go to. And the actual flag is encode URL. And the initial value will be false, and description is just encode URL. Save that. I want to check the error just in case, but I think I know is why it is. What was I gonna do? Check the error. Ooh, missing a comma. Maybe I didn't know what it was. Okay. And it also needs a comma at the end. That's why it was the syntax highlighting wasn't working. Cobra. It didn't import Cobra, right? So let's say Cobra. Oh, no, it's not gonna do it once I've done it. Written it, have I? Okay, let's import it by ourselves. We'll say import. What is it called? GitHub.com. Let me have a look. Okay, so it's SPF 13 Cobra. It's good enough. Short should be a capital. There we go. And codec hasn't been defined. We'll come back to that. Inside our plugins, we'll create another folder in here called codec. And inside here, codec will just say url.go. That is going to do anything to do with the URL. But for now, we're just going to import the URL, but we could probably add a functionality to decode the URL later. That is to be decided, right? Not a problem for now. If I so this package, oh, undo that, insert, haven't, it's doing that again. Let me open another file because I want the syntax highlighting this open from whatever we had from yesterday. We'll open that again. There we go. Not the right thing. So we say package in codec. So that's the package that we named it before. We'll say function encode URL. So that's the function we assigned. It will take a bunch of URLs, so it doesn't have to be one. So just a list of string. And in here, first thing I want to say is add a log, because we always end up messing it up. So we'll say starting to starting convert, starting to convert URLs into, no, why not, I'm not converting URLs, converting strings into URL format. So that's that. Log is not, hasn't been imported. We'll import that quickly. There we go. Now I also want to create a variable that holds all of the encoded URLs, right? Because we're going to return that initially. So encode URL. No, do I? I'm guessing if the user is sending a string, I don't necessarily have to store anything. So let's go with the idea that we're not storing anything for now. We'll say raw URL because I know if I just say URL, it will not work as intended. It won't show an error and it won't it won't work. But So for all our URLs, we'll create an encoded URL, and that can be simply done with the net URL function. So we'll say import that net URL first, and I think it has a function called pathscape, and that will just take our raw URL. And I think that is all there is to it. Um, and what we'll do is print it. So we'll just say print line, and we'll print our encoded. Uh, Still used to the. Okay, there we go. Save that. I just need to go back into codec. No, not into codec. Yes, codec.go. And in here, I just need to import this package. Ah, okay, I'll do it manually again. I think I have to say my whole path, right? So including the so encode codec. Codec was the path, so let's say github.com. That means plugins has the codec, right? Is it codec? Plugin slash codec. So that's the package name. Okay. Hopefully it works. So if I open the terminal, go run main.go codec encode URL, and let's give it some random URL. Let's say google.com. It started, and here you go. As you can see right here, we have got the encoded URL. So that works quick and easy. Now we need to create a base64 um, of this of a text file that is a little long. Is it longer? There is just a function in Go, but I need to look that up. Oh man, all this standing up is making me tired. But yeah, I usually don't sit down in the evenings because all day I'm just sat down, typing away. So yeah, but then I stand up and then I'm just tired as. But anyway, where was it? So we did the codec of URL. So we want to create another one. So we'll just call it base64 format. Or I don't know, no codec slash base64.go, and then we'll just start writing the function. So this will be the same package as our URL, which is in the codec package. Create a function called convert to capitalize that. So say convert to base64. Now it will take a byte list of bytes. I mean, when we read the file, we'll convert it into this. That's what we will take. And then we need to use the encode decode function. So this is what I'm using in the docs. If you don't know this, gives you a nice detailed explanation. We have the standard encoding with and without padding, and I don't want the hassle with that, so I'll probably just use the new encoding. As it says, it's newer, so hopefully more thought has gone into it. But I will just say new. That's not gonna like it, so I'll say encoding, first import that. Um, so it's the encoding dot new. Will that work? Because I'll probably have, is it a, it's not URL encoding, is it? Encoding slash base 6 in dot base 64. There we go. Encoding slash base 64. I don't actually need the encoding before that. And then I can just, so we will receive bytes. No, we won't receive bytes actually. Now thinking about it, we will receive a path, right? So we will receive a path. We'll receive paths, so because it can be multiple of string. Um, and then we will read it. We have a function in our IO. What did I call it? IO test IO util. I don't remember what I call it. So let's search it. IO. It's just plugin commons. So it's plugin commons. It is in. Plugins common. So we'll import that. And in there should be a thing called read file. We will give it the path, and before that I need to do a loop. So it's for that path in the range of our paths. We'll do that, yoink that, delete that, paste that. So there. Okay, still not done. So what does the read file return? It returns a couple of bytes, so we'll just say file content, and it returns an error, right? Declared and not used, declared and not used, that's fine. If error is not nil, I just want to log this error, log dot print error. And if we, when we get the file content, then we want to use the base64 new base64 the new encoder. So it takes a base 64 encoding and not a byte. I did not check this beforehand, so we probably will have to do some kind of conversion, right? Or is that the same thing? No, yeah, I think it'll work. I think it'll work. Let's just say file content, and I'm looking at the docs, and I don't think that is the way. I think we make an encoder first. So we'll say base64 dot, and then we will give it the standard encoding. Also, okay, the standard encoding, and then os.std. We haven't imported os, we'll deal with that later. Okay, os. Oh man, yes. So that will just be our encoder, and um, we have to write encoder dot write, and what will it write? It will write our file content. There we go. We'll close the encoder dot close. Where does it write it? Well, that we'll know when we test it out. I also want to just, for the fun of it, print in the line encoder. Of course, of course. We haven't defined anything that calls this function yet. So if we go to our codec, we'll set, so we said encode URL, convert to base64. I should probably need something, a shortcut for this. And it's also a Boolean value, right? It is going to be a Boolean value. Codec command dot flags, a Boolean variable with a shortcut. I haven't thought of the shortcut yet. Let's say convert to base64. I don't need that. Okay, convert to base64. What name? I think we'll keep it the same. The shorthand, because it has to be a single letter. Let's call it base. B. Such a bad one. Initial value will just be the false, and convert the file to base C4. Or maybe I should have said encode instead of convert everywhere else. So that does make more sense. Else if convert to base64, then I would say codec dot convert to base64. So strings will just be our arguments. And inside the codec, let's create another file called example.txt. This is the test. Go run main.go codec. I had a lot of problems with the path yesterday. And the codec, what do we want to convert to base64? We gave it a build to dash b dot slash. So we're in dev name, so it's a plugins slash codec slash txt. Oh, expected package. Codec dot slash plugins codec example.txt. Let's see. don't think that was the reason, but why not? B dot slash base slash again slash codex slash. No, it's not base64, it's exact. Oh, I think we're just getting a bunch of bytes. Would have been nice to actually see it as a string, or just nil. Or it shouldn't be all zeros. There is a I think this might be the thing. Hmm. Okay, now I'm back. I've had a nice meal, had my dinner. So hopefully my mind can ascend into a different realm, right? So where were we? I don't know. We're printing a bunch of zeros. This probably doesn't work. Encoder, base64. What was I doing? We write it. I think when we write it, we can probably save that in a variable, right? I don't know. Result. Result. I'm guessing it throws an error. We'll see if it doesn't. Okay, we do have an error. Let's see what the error is. It's just not used. So that means we can say result, right? That's what it must mean. So if I, instead of printing the whole encoder, which is more of a function, let's print the actual result. I need to learn how to better control the terminal and changing between these because okay, fine, we got 0. Um, do I am I closing it in the right place? I think so, right? You close at the end. Um, if I want to, I don't think this saves it as a string, right? So somehow I need to change it back to a string. Isn't there a And let me go and check the docs again. I need to know what this kind of returns. I kind of just went into it, looked at the docs, is like, well, I can just use this, right? I haven't really looked into depth of what I need to do. So let me have a quick look and I'll come and explain, right? Okay, I have looked at the docs. These are the docs. Um, there you go. Found there's a function called standard encoding. Use the standard encoding function and then we encode directly to string and we get back the encoded string. So hopefully that does the job. Let's try that. Oh, where did I go? Don't tell me I closed it. There we go. Okay, so we read the file. So instead of saying new encoder, find n. There we go. Yes. W, so delete to the end of the line. Append it there. What's it called? Standard encoding. So we use the standard encoding. And then we encode the string, takes in the byte, which is our file content, and I think that is all. Does it return an error? So we don't need that. Don't think we need to close this either. Let me just try to print that. Control L. So there we go. OS imported and not used. That's good enough. Will it remember? It won't remember. Let me just find it, whichever that one was. This one, let's see. 'Cause yesterday we had a lot of problems when we, I don't know why, but when we actually used the mini thing, yeah, it just did not work. So printed in empty line. Is my example text is still fine? Yep, example text is fine. Go run main.go codec dash b plugin codec. That is fine. We just close out these buffers. Keep that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Keep that. So what was I saying again? So encoder that data is byte base64 standard. It's not working like that. Let me see what my file content is first, because what if I'm just reading it wrong, right? fmt dot I already have fmt print line, and let's print our file content. What is that? I don't know. File content. That's good. There. Okay. So file content is working as expected because we do want them to be bytes, right? Delete that now. Base64 standard encoding dot encode to string file content. What does it return? It does say it will just return a string. Returns the base64 encoding of string. FMT print line encoder is that. That's not what's happening when I do it, right? Or maybe it is. I'm just in the wrong side of things. Oh, there we go. That's it. That is all, my friends. See, so it was with the mini terminal problem again. Why does that happen? I don't know, it's still the same terminal. Why does opening it mini make a difference? Okay, so now we have that. I also want to write it. Write it? Write it? Write it? Anyway, let's say encoded text is gonna be there. Encoded text, we can delete that line. Insert, and we can write back this encoded text, which is a string. So if I say plugins common dot write file, but I think it takes a file path, so it will just be the path followed by data, which is bytes. So I have to convert this encoded text into byte. There probably is something that returns it in bytes straight away, but for now, this is what we're doing. And I think that's good enough. Remove that. And let's go. That's fine. Leave that as it is. We run our normal function. It says it was successful. Writing to it was successful. And then we go back to the text file. And there we go. We got our encoded thing. Maybe tomorrow or whenever the next video, we'll probably work on decoding this stuff back into the normal text and see how they work, right? That'll be pretty interesting. But I'll think of some more ideas to see if there are some better things we could be doing than this. But I'm signing out. I'll leave you guys to it, and we will catch at some point again. Bye bye.